Me okay? Is the mic working all right? Okay. Some of you in the dark here, I hope if I don't look like I'm looking at you, it's probably because I'm not, because I can't see you. But welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I thought it was important just to do a general update for the campus on both where we are with the strategic plan and give you a chance to interact with me, ask questions, have comments, and so this is one of our town hall sessions. I just want to make note for you that the video of the town hall is going to be posted online, and that your presence here indicates your consent to have your speech and image recorded. So if you're going to get up and speak, it will be recorded. If you rather that you weren't, you always can email me, Vianne.Timmons at Regina.ca, or call me or come and see me, and that's not recorded, all right? And the email that you send me comes to me only. There's nobody else who sees those emails if you send them to Vianne.Timmons. If you send it to the president at Regina.ca, it does get, it goes through an admin assistant. So that's just so that you're clear. So let me begin by chatting with you about things that are campus concerns, things I've heard from you already, and things that I may take this opportunity to inform you about. As you all know, it's with oil prices challenging us, this fall has been a challenging year. It was so challenging that we got a call in the summer that said we'd have to return money to the government. We only got a 1% last year. Our cost escalation on our campus is about between a 3.5, 4.5%. So we only got a 1%, so you know it was a tough year last year just to get a balanced budget. We were able to manage that with, I think, minimal disruption, labor disruption in terms of layoffs or anything like that. However, this year, we did get a call that said that the government needed to have some money returned. So they took back 0.5% of the 1% they gave us, but they notified me in August, so it's actually a 1% for 6 months. So we had to return that money to the government. And what was really important to me was that the units didn't feel that hit. So how we managed it was through, we had, as you know, an increase in our enrollment numbers, and that worked out to be able to help us cover that money that we had to return. And that was a debate, but to go to the units halfway through the year and try to recover money did not seem fair. Well, coming to the university halfway through the year to recover money doesn't seem fair. So that's how we did it. So it negated the gains that we would have had from enrollment increases. And always my goal is to have a minimum impact on staff and to avoid layoffs as much as possible. So it's actually a 4.4% to maintain the status quo, looking at our situation for this upcoming year. I will be presenting to Treasury Board tomorrow. They're asking me to present on a number of scenarios, including cuts and 0 or 1, so I have to present how we will manage through that. Another concern that was raised in the media in August was the North Gateway project, the new sign that we're putting there, and the landscaping and the curb work and the lighting that we're doing there. There is some discussion about the cost. The cost of the sign is just over $200,000. The cost of the project is about $400,000. It comes out of special project funding that we were able to, one-time monies that we were able to put aside. And I know we've been working hard with the city to get the lights in on that intersection. And we had worked with the city, and I had written letters to the city. I walk that every day. I know how dangerous it was. And the city, I thought it would be next year when we would get those lights in, and we had no notice. One day they showed up and we're putting the lights in. So we scrambled and went to the board. I wanted to communicate to campus. We put a story on the web about what we were doing in that corner in June, mentioned it to exec council. But what I learn all the time is that you have to communicate. So I did meet with the faculty members who were concerned, and one of the things that they suggested to me, which I really appreciated, was that they were not aware of all the work we were doing on deferred maintenance, $8 million worth of it. And so what I will be doing each year as we decide on the deferred maintenance projects is I will be sending, they thought posting on the web doesn't work. in terms of getting access. So I will be sending an email, as I do in my campus messages, out to campus each spring, listing all the deferred maintenance projects. So there's a better awareness of all the work that we are doing. So that was I really appreciated that. The deferred maintenance, it's a problem faced by all universities of a similar age. I met, Caroline came in and interviewed me today and asked why we had 3 times more deferred maintenance than other universities. Well, College Avenue campus is our biggest deferred maintenance project. It is the largest piece of our deferred maintenance. It's even larger than our roofs. So if we, and you know I've been working very hard on that project to raise money, to get government on side, even private sector I'm working with to try to get them on side, even in a private-public partnership, to try to get that project done. That is our largest deferred maintenance project. And what we did this year in deferred maintenance, I mentioned we got $5 million from the government, and we added $3 million from our fundraising campaign to deferred maintenance. So this year we put $8 million in. We've replaced 6 of our roofs since 2013. You know, this is the 50th year kind of anniversary of the university. It's about around 50 years old. And many of the buildings that we had problems with were built around the same time. So we have hit kind of a crunch in which all of that work needs to be done now. So we replaced 6 roofs, eliminated 56 roofs in the project. And we have Language Institute roof is slated for replacement by 2016. To replace a roof is between $1 and $2 million. It's not a cheap thing, so we have to plan. The other thing we need to be careful of is that we don't replace all the roofs at the same year, because I'll have the same, not me, thank God, not me. Someone else will have the same problem 20 years out. So we need to scale out all of these initiatives. The other concern I heard, and at the end of the session today, I hope you bring up things I haven't mentioned, was the new residence towers. It is on budget. And it was substantially complete by September move-in. I was there on move-in day, and I worked with parents and students and saw when they had any concern, the resident staff under the leadership of John Smith, Bettina, were right there the whole time. They even there was a problem with the locks. They brought a locksmith on site. So the rooms themselves were except with a few exceptions, were ready for the students. The landscaping was not. And as you know, some students have been concerned about the noise and the landscaping. And we gave students choice to move out of that residence to other residents if they were unhappy. Bettina, I don't think anyone took you up on that. Where are you, Bettina? Did anyone move out of the new residence? Yeah, we did have a couple moves. So we attempted to work with the students that were concerned and deal with any issues that came up. And that's what happens with new construction. We could have delayed it, and we would have had a huge problem if we didn't allow the students to move in on that. The other thing that came up is a new Campion entranceway, and that came as a surprise to us, that we could partnership with Campion building that new entranceways. That happened in the spring of this year. So again, we didn't plan for it. It's construction that will be ongoing. It's not going to be complete quickly, and it looks like it's part of the residence project, but it's a separate project that was brought in. It's an underground pedestrian link to Campion, which we really wanted to take advantage of. So all of those were the concerns I heard in the fall, and I hope me giving you some information may not get rid of those concerns, but at least gives you some context for them. The main thing I want to talk about are our strategic priorities and the focus of our strat plan. Piyakaskigi now. As you know, together we are stronger is what the elder has told us we describe it. Student success, research impact, and commitment to communities with indigenization and sustainability woven in. So I thought it would be really important for you to, because it's your plan, and you approved it last winter, how are we doing on it? Is there any progress? Is this plan making any difference to our campus? So let's start with student success. As you know, we have enrollment graph here. It's the 7th year of increased enrollments, 5th year of record enrollments. When I came, and I want to remind you of this, when I came in 2008, we had experienced a 15% decrease in enrollment. And our budget from the provincial government is based on success in research and enrollment numbers. So our first few years, it's an enrolling 5-year average. So that 15% hurt us right up to about 2000 and Dale, what about 14? 13, 14 was, so enrollment not only brings students to campus. Now, there is a concern that having that many more students may impact on space, but it's been so surprising for me that so many of these students, new students and students that are continuing, are looking at customized programming. They're taking 1 or 2 courses online and the rest face-to-face. So our actual face-to-face numbers haven't seen the same increase. Our online courses have skyrocketed in terms of enrollments, and they're mostly the students on campus who are looking at what we call customized programming. So it's really interesting to see that pattern, and that's been very positive to us. So now we're approximately 14,400 students, increased in grad students, and out of province enrollments are all up also. Our Aboriginal student numbers, we're now nearly at 12%, and as you know, we're located on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 lands, and that Aboriginal education is a priority and should be a priority to this university. And we're really pleased with our numbers. What we need to work on now is supporting all of our students, including our Aboriginal students, in their success. International numbers, again, under the leadership of Livia, we're at 14%. And they're concentrating on looking at developing international relationships beyond just China, and looking at mobility projects, student abroad programs, increasing the number of exchanges, and, as you know, I committed this year to support refugee students by $100,000 a year, matching what our amazing students raise. They raise that money and have supported refugee students, and I felt it was an important gesture for this campus to step up to the plate and to be able to do that, and we committed that. Student success. Retention is really critical for us. We are working on this area. We've been developing programs to meet student needs, some new master's programs, more online programs and blended learning programs. Just remind you, we have nursing and social work in Saskatoon, programs there. We're working with all the regional colleges. Student retention is a key focus of all of ours. We really have to make a difference on student retention. The Dean's Council, it's in front of them to look at. The Associate Deans Academic are working on enhancing elements of the student experience to improve retention. We are looking at things like threshold courses, those threshold courses that have the students find difficult, and what we're trying to figure out is what additional supports are needed, not just for the students, but for the professors of those threshold courses, so we can enhance the student success on that. The UR Guarantee, it's working, keeping students engaged. We now have 1,400 students in the UR Guarantee program. And if you go to any events, the university events, and you see the ambassadors that are there supporting the events, volunteering their time, they're often the UR Guarantee students. And I get the wonderful pleasure of chatting with them and seeing how that program makes a difference for them. We have to build more experiential learning opportunities. Our co-op is a real strength of ours. And so this is the work we're doing. So we still have to really identify ways to support our students once they're here. When we look at our retention numbers, they're not at the level I think they should be at. So it's something we need each and every one of you to help us with. Research impact is the next strat plan pillar. And it's an area of strength that we're building on, and we, as you know, in international research collaboration, rank #1 among other comprehensive universities, and the percentage of international graduate students is the highest among comprehensive universities. Also in research impact, we're #1 in terms of the number of times our professors' publications are cited. So we have a great foundation. What we want to look at is what research impact we make, what does it, not just in the numbers of citations or the number of collaborations, but what is the work that you are doing in the community that has an impact, the research you are doing in the community, and how is it making a difference, and how can we measure that? And I know that the VP Research is working hard on that, figuring out like research impact can't just be citations. It has to be beyond that in our community. And so that's what they're looking at, a different way to analyze that. And we also have invested quite a lot of money in the research enterprise. We brought a review in, we brought in the provincial auditor. I can see the difference in our controls and policies and processes strengthening as we go forward. I heard from you that we needed to fund our grad students better. So last year we had 6 grad students fully funded. This year we have 51 fully funded grad students from the central office. So that is something that you said was an issue that we're working on and we will continue to work on. We now are a full member of MITAC. I know that research office is working on a lot more workshops and information to support you, and weekly research forums for faculty have been set up to help you on that part of your endeavor. We've had a number of successes in the research, but we need to have a lot more. In terms of profiling research, I know that a number of you as professors have been really concerned that research has not been profiled enough. We had 74 research stories produced in the first 8 months of 2015. 74 of your stories. And that's 31 more than we had in all of 2014. In 2014, we had more than we had in 2013. So it's an effort of our communication office, and they're doing a really good job, I think, of profiling your work. And I hope that you can acknowledge that and see that it takes time to do a story that captures some of the very sophisticated research you're doing so that a person who isn't in that field can truly understand it. And then we're in the process of hiring a full-time research communications person for our office that will work solely with our professors. Commitment to our communities. Last year we did the first State of the University address on January. Last year we have a second one supported by the Chamber on January 21st this year. This is what we go out to the community. It will be updated on our economic impact to the community of Regina. I have not been happy that I've gone to the Mayor's State of the Union address and the university's not mentioned. I have not been happy that I go to Brad Wall's State of the Province address and the University of Regina is not mentioned. So we need to change that. So I'm going to do my own State of the University address so that we're mentioned and profiled and highlighting the economic impact, because that's a language that seems to be of importance right now. So I'd encourage you, January 21st, if you can come and help me, give me advice on how I can do a better job if you think it's not clear enough. But it is our second annual event, trying to connect with our business and community leaders. Some of you know that I do these community connection tours, that I do a number of outreach tours. I often meet with directors of education. We try to bring people to the community. We brought Don Newman in, a former CBC news anchor, to Moose Jaw. We do alumni events. I did one in Saskatoon last year. Nipawin, we did a board retreat there and signed an MOU with the regional college and with the community there, and met with the Cumberland College First Nations Advisory Council. Last year I went to Prince Albert, Pine House, L'Orange, northern communities. And I want to acknowledge our kinesiology and health studies faculty, because we have a number of off-site cougar games that have been played in Moose Jaw, in some of our First Nations communities, and that community outreach makes a difference. We are a provincial university. And I can remember the first time I said that when I was a meeting with the deans of all of the deans in Saskatoon from U of S. I had a meeting with them, and I talked about the University of Regina being one of 2 provincial universities, and they were shocked that we would consider ourselves a provincial university. That's when I realized we had a lot more work to do. I don't think they would be saying that now, because we truly need to get out and we need to do outreach to our community. As you know, College Avenue campus, I mentioned it earlier. Boy, that project, I am persevering. I'm telling you, it is not an easy one to sell. It will be a large renewal project, as you know. We have raised $7 million. Our goal was $10 million. We ask the provincial government every year for $25 million. We are asking the city for a contribution, and then we're looking at getting some land as a contribution from the city. I have a fingers crossed that that may happen. We will be putting out a tender for some development at College Avenue, and that's a private partnership we're talking about, to help if we can maybe bring in someone to work with us that maybe want part of a building, or will rent that or lease it or build something to contribute to College Avenue. So keep your ears open for that. It's, again, everything we can do to try to make that project come alive. And if you have not been down to College Avenue, please arrange to go down there and work with Nelson. His team will give you a tour. It's an amazing facility that we need to cherish. And plus, it's a really active part of our university. We've been lucky with donations to the university lately. The RBC Women Executive in Residence, a chair in nuclear imaging, another donation being announced tomorrow. Stay tuned. So we're working hard on connecting with community, not just about reputation or about being seen as provincial or of benefit, but also to make partnerships so that we can get our community to contribute back to us. Sustainability, the other thread that goes through our strategic plan. We have a couple of large-scale initiatives, and you may not believe this, but our new residence is one of them. It's 25% more energy efficient than the other two previous residences that we built on our campus. We have 3 SaskPower partnerships that we are leveraging. One on campus lighting revitalization to replace all the ineffective lights. The new energy management information system to better monitor energy use, and partnering with SaskPower on upgrades to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. I want to congratulate our students, again, our leaders that they are in this area for the UPass, that they worked hard to get that through, and now it is through. On a smaller scale, I'll tell you, every day I walk by our campus gardens, I am so proud that we are doing that. The Edible Campus Initiative. We have 3 gardens on campus, about 50 volunteers producing over 1,800 pounds of food, and most of it's donated to the Carmichael Outreach Center. Again, an initiative we should be proud of. Initiative that also fits our outreach to community. We're testing lawn maintenance without chemical pesticides on the academic green, and that's an example of combining research with sustainability. We have 9 sustainability and community engagement projects that have been funded from a fund we set up here to support and promote sustainability. Sustainability in the broad sense also means fiscal sustainability. And we have had a number of restraint initiatives that saved us $2.37 million over the last year. The voluntary incentive plan for the retirement plan, which I know hit some units harder than others. A freeze on the economic adjustments for the university leadership team. Your leadership team last year got 0 increase in terms of an economic adjustment. You need to know that. We watching and monitoring travel carefully. Increased online delivery of programs, which is a sustainability initiative, by the way, because it saves heats and lights and that type. And I know your favorite, print optimization. But that results and continues to result in significant savings and fits in our strat plan. So it's an important initiative that we need to continue. Indigenization, the last part of what I want to speak about in the strat plan. Our executive lead on indigenization was funded with soft money, and last year we put it into the core budget. She produced 100 Ways to Indigenize the University, a phenomenal piece of work that I hope all of you take a look at. She was instrumental in bringing us the witness blanket. As you know, we have the Indigenous Advisory Circle that have developed a strategic plan. They presented it to the Board of Governors. It was very well received. Renaming our residence buildings using First Nations names has been really important. The Kishik Tower, the new tower, which means it's a Saulteaux language means sky, and it is because it's the tallest building on campus. and all of our other buildings. And my hope that these names serve as an everyday reminder of the history of this nation and this province. We also have just initiated a course release for each of the faculties to identify someone to work on integrating Indigenous knowledge and practices into the faculty and into program offerings. The Faculty of Arts took the leadership in requiring one class that connects with Indigenous knowledge, and we have the OMA program that we continue to support, which fits also in the Student Success and Retention Initiative. Your plan is working. There's lots happening on the strategic plan, and this hasn't even been a year. I'll tell you, you keep me busy with all of the initiatives that we have put in place and have to continue to put in place to have this plan make a difference on our campus. And I think you should be very proud of your plan. You created it. And when I look at this, I see the difference it already is making for our students, which is the most important thing that we have, for our community. And hopefully, for you as faculty and staff, you have a clear direction on where we're going. So I want to just, I know that this took a while. How long did it? And I wanted to make sure we had time for questions and comments. So no, it took a half an hour, and the last thing in the world you want to hear is a talking head, which you did very patiently listen to. So thank you for that. And I'd like to open the floor for your questions. If you're not comfortable asking in a public forum, please take the advantage of calling me, coming to see me, emailing me. My door is always open to you. Okay, so we'll open up the floor for questions. John?
Hello, thanks for hearing me again, yet again.
Now, John's someone who has concerns and has taken advantage and come and seen me, and I appreciate that.
And thanks for meeting with me last month. I just wanted to expand on that. And like you listed some great examples of things we're doing now for sustainability. Things that come to mind that have been brought up to me whenever I've pushed a little bit to get more sustainable initiatives have been about how we can be proud about how our campus has been built close together so we can save energy by not having open doors all the time in the winter, and how the students contributed to efficient heating system. But like both of those things have been done especially last decade. And now I think because we have a plan that's going into 2020, we need to be prepared to think of big projects or even little projects that we can then become proud of what we've done this decade also. So I think as 2020 approaches, we need to start looking at how we can make some renewable energy on campus and have a comprehensive recycling program at the very least.
Yeah, and John's been really good to keep reminding me that we need to keep the recycling program on the agenda. And John, the other area, you know, one of our big inefficient buildings is College Avenue campus. We revitalize that. Our intent is to make it as energy efficient as you can, a 100-year-old building, but really focus on energy efficiency there. If you spend any time there, you're either freezing cold or you're really hot. And we need to revitalize that, but part of it will have to be looking at sustainability. That will be a large project. Yeah. Thank you, John. Tom? Hi.
Now, it's a lot more nerve-wracking talking to you than a classroom of people. So I'm here today wearing my chief negotiator hat. I'm a chief negotiator for APT.
And thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. I care about this university just as you do, and that's how I do my service, is I do things like this. I just want to talk a little bit about where we're at with negotiations. So right now, we've been bargaining since probably like around February of this year, and we've made some progress. But I'm getting the sense that we're kind of heading into the end game, and there's about 3 issues where we're sort of, having more difficulties. And of course, that's to be expected because this is the final 3, right? So this is where philosophically there's a lot of differences between our positions. But I'll focus on one of them, and that happens to be the compensation package. So right now, the compensation package that we're being offered isn't comparable to the compensation package that was received by the academic group, by the CUPE group, and others around the campus. And it's becoming an issue. And my fear is that our abilities to maneuver are becoming diminished over time. And so my stance, and people who are in the negotiating group will remember this, my stance is the way we should make progress is to make progress in a way that is reflective of what the other bargaining units have received as well. So I've never denied that the university is facing financial difficulties. That's not what where I'm coming from. What I'm saying is we are facing difficult times, but if we want to overcome these difficulties, we need to do it together, right? The phrase of the mantra of the university is "Together we're stronger," and that's my position. We got to move together, as one. And the problem is that if the APT group gets, let's say focusing on compensation, if they get a compensation package that's not reflective of what's been obtained by other bargaining groups, they're going to perceive in their minds that they were losers, whereas other groups ended up being the winners, right? That's how they might conceptualize it. And it's going to create discord, it's going to create problems. I think what we need to do, and what I'm hoping is going to happen when we continue negotiating starting October 29th, is that we're going to have some more maneuverability so that we can ultimately get a financial package and a global package that's going to be reflective of what all the other bargaining units are doing, so that when we face the challenges in the future, we do it together as one.
Yeah, and and this is a difficult one, Tom. I can't discuss the negotiations because that would lead to considering unfair labor discussions. But it is a tough time. I mean, you all know that wages is over 70% of my budget. And we have choices of increasing faculty staff wages, and we can make that choice, and then we have to look at reducing faculty and staff. I mean, I don't have many options. And the only thing I will say is, sometimes you're not, because you don't get an increment, you're not a loser. The outer scope leadership team, I don't think are losers, though they did not get any economic increase. So there's, there is a real challenge for us here, and it is getting harder and harder all the time. And when you look at the reality, it's a challenging time. We need our APT staff. They are extremely important to us and valued, and my goal has been and will continue to be to avoid layoffs as much as I possibly can. And I think I have been totally consistent in that. Because I'll tell you who gets laid off. It's usually our lowest paid people. And it's not, to me, I want to be the president of a university that is humane and cares about each and every employee. And negotiations are negotiations, so I can't speak specifically about APT, but I'm going to continue my commitment to avoid layoffs in any way I can, unless I absolutely have to. And so that will be my position to continue. I think you can understand that.
Oh, I do, but again, my point simply is this: let's do it together.
Yeah.
Let's do it together.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's going to get more and more difficult, these negotiations, because there's less and less. When you have less and less, it becomes more and more difficult, right? So, thank you. And you know what? Again, I want to thank you and your team for doing the negotiations, because I know that it's difficult. I hear from the team that comes back, it's difficult for everybody.
Well, they're very nice to us. So
oh, they better be. Yeah. These are the times I wish I could come in with one of those answers that all of you would go, yay. I can't on this one, right? This is a process that I have to allow to continue, but I do understand exactly what your issues are and the challenges you're facing, because we are facing them together, believe it or not. It's not you and us. We are all facing these together, right? More questions? Hi.
Does the heart beating ever stop?
You come up here.
I'll bet. No, thank you. All right, so our university, first of all, I support our APT in not accepting concessions in their negotiations. Our university travel policy, number EMP 050-005, encourages us to obtain the lowest and most economical rates available for flying on university-related business. And so I was surprised, respectfully, to see a senior administrator flying first class last week en route back from Toronto. My return flight from Toronto to and from cost $500, and I did spend an extra $40 to not sit in row 28, because that sucks.
Was that me? You saw flying back in first class?
I don't want to name it.
Or I think it was, and I did get upgraded, so that's why. Because I wouldn't normally.
I don't know what, you know, you said it was for meetings, but it doesn't matter. I don't know who paid for it or what, but it prompted me to want to ask, not having looked closely at senior admin travel reports that I know are up there on the internet.
Online, yeah.
In these moments of budgetary constraints, when we have needs on campus, ranging from dirty hallways to layoffs to concessionary bargaining, and to not being able to replace needed tenure-track faculty, under what circumstances within this policy does your office approve first-class travel for people at the University of Regina, including yourself, and with what frequency do senior executives at the university use first class?
That's an easy question and a great question, by the way. And our travel is online. Mine is online right back to 2008. So I will only travel economy if I'm traveling domestically in the United States. I travel economy. I would be the only employee that has in my contract that on long distance I can travel business class. And my board has held me to that. And I will tell you that I have gotten off the plane in China and right into meetings. And so they're very clear on that. So that is in my contract, which is also online for you. Otherwise, nobody travels business class unless they have a certificate that they produce for me. And so I would only know of one person, a senior administrator, who's brought me a medical certificate that has required them to travel business class when going long distances because of medical issues. But everyone else, now I did, and I don't know if it was me, but I did get upgraded, and I did take it, the upgrade.
I've been upgraded once, and it was awesome.
So, you know, if that is something you don't want me to do, I won't do it. I won't, because I do understand, and so many times, hopefully you'll see me in the back of the airplane, or not hopefully in seat 28. I try to get 13, but that's it. And please, if you have, these are good questions. I want you to feel comfortable asking them about things that you hear. You what? You what? Shaking. But please, like, I think I'd rather you ask the question than worry and talk about it and not get the answers. And I'll be as candid and as honest with you as I can. The only time I can't be is when it's a privacy issue, right? Okay. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Vianne, and I guess I want to start out by just saying thank you for having this session. I know we had a session, I think it was a couple of years ago, and Mark Spooner chaired the session, and you know, in public figures these days, it seems that there's a real reluctance to be open and accountable, and we're seeing it in our federal election campaign. So it's really good that that you open up then for time for questions and that, and put people at ease to ask questions that may be difficult. I wanted to ask a question about openness, because in your remarks you mentioned possibility of P3 type projects. And I maybe haven't been following it close enough, but it's the first time that I've heard this. And colleagues of mine in business admin have raised questions about the transparency of these deals and whether they're really appropriate. And I'm just wondering if you could comment on the P3 discussions and then red lines for you, and would it be possible to commit to not entering an agreement where there's a lot of the agreements redacted because we are a public institution, and just so that we can see that it benefits the university and not corporations. Thank you.
So what I'm looking at is trying to figure out any way I can to get College Avenue supported. And one of the things is I went to the city for money. Many cities give money to universities for initiatives. Windsor gave, I think it was about $500 million for them to do something downtown. This is not unusual. If you read Manitoba, the province of Manitoba just gave $360 million to the fundraising campaign done by U of M. So I went to the city. The city said they had no money, but they would be willing to contribute land to help us, land that we could potentially develop to help fund College Avenue. So we are going to the city. We were hoping this fall. Nelson is leading us, our initiative on that to work, and we're asking the city for the land adjacent to Dark Hall. It's a couple of acres. And what we will do, if we get the land, we will put a tender out, and it'll be very open and transparent, Sean, that we're looking for a partnership on 2 pieces of land on College Avenue. And we'll see if a developer can come who wants to do something there. And the key will be what could they contribute towards the funding of the revitalization of College Avenue. So I'm trying to keep it clean as I can, not a private partnership where you sell your soul. I may get nobody interested because people are going to, except the great pieces of property, they're by the university. There's a lot of synergy. People may be interested in developer. So that's what I'm doing. So the tender will be open. The result of the tender will be open if we can benefit. And it's a way for me to tell the province I'm looking at every option I can to help fund the revitalization of College Avenue. Because even with that, we estimate we'll still need $25 million from the province. So that it's not like your other kind of your 3P partnerships that other people talk about in building a school where it's privately built and run and then paid for. I'm not looking at that. It's much more of a very clean thing, I hope. All right, but I will, you asked me why it's the first I mentioned it. It's because we're just going to the city now. Though, I've been trying to woo the city for a long time, for 2 years now to get the land. And they're as skittish as you can imagine. They want to know every little detail of everything, so we're hoping. So if any of you are interested in going to that city council meeting and helping support the land transfer, the 2 acres, please do, because I need all the help I can get.
What side of Dark Hall?
Well, we're going to put a tender out on both, on the side close to the museum and the other side of College Avenue.
Is that Wascana Center land right now? Or?
No, city land. City land. No, it's not. Wascana Center has no land. Wascana Center, there are only 3 landowners in Wascana Center, ourselves, the city, and the province. So, you know how we have the research park here? Right, that's an initiative, that's private, that's like a private partnership, but I don't know how much we have benefit as an institution from that private partnership. This one, I want to be much clearer that it's College Avenue campus that totally benefits from that. And that's in Wascana, like that research park's in Wascana Park on university lands, right? So that's an example. Other questions or comments? If you've heard something like my comment about partnership, please make sure you ask, or any other comment that you hear, rumors in the hallways, ask me. Hi, Andrew.
It seems weird going to a mic to talk to someone right in front of you.
I know. It's so that it can be videotaped.
Absolutely. I'm wearing my IRFA shirt in support of APT. I've also been at a bargaining table. And I just wanted to make a remark about one thing and then ask a question. Considering what Tom said, there are always opportunities to work together. And I think it is a fallacy that bargaining has to be just about money. And one thing that I did find kind of concerning now is that we're talking about layoffs as we're talking about fairness, right? And I don't know why that's necessary unless it's a tactic. And similarly, in our own experience at the academic bargaining table, often wage increases were always translated on the other side as, these are people you can't hire. right? So everything you want is someone else that isn't being hired. Maybe then we should think about bargaining staff complements and putting MOUs in these agreements that talk about protection against layoff. And the trade-off is we guarantee employment if times are tough, and there is actually an interest in making sure both parties would agree to that. And then we can actually bargain employment as well as wages altogether. It's a possibility, and I don't see that. In fact, it's purposely zero sum, and then all of a sudden we have people that translate wage increases or concessions into a lack of respect, and that's very real. And I think it's something that you need to be mindful of at the top and as signals go down into HR. Now, the question I had isn't IRFA related, but I was wondering if you could give some clarification on some developments with Chartwells. And I ask this because the question of subcontracting always comes into play when we're talking about cost cutting and austerity. And I just wanted some clarity on what's happened there. And I ask this because I have a great deal of respect for the QP staff that make sure that the roofs are not leaking and that it's clean and that do a lot of the important clerical staff. And I find it's very problematic that the university would remain silent on a third party that provides a service, food services, being allowed to subcontract and deny that employment to unionized staff that are making living wages. So if you could just clarify that they are not subcontracting and that they're unionized employees working at Bento, that's kind of where I would like to see this go.
John, can you speak to that?
Contract.
Pardon me?
Contract does allow for subcontracting.
So the contracts we signed with Chartwells allowed for subcontracting?
Bento Sushi employee is just that. It's a Bento Sushi employee. It is not a Chartwells employee. All Chartwells employees are unionized.
Okay. All Chartwells employees are unionized? Okay.
I'm not sure what else.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and also when the sushi is purchased, it goes through a Chartwells employee at the cash register. The only difference is we've always carried Bento Sushi. Before it was just supplied off campus and people didn't know if it was fresh. Now someone comes and they make it, everybody knows it's fresh, and we sell more of it and people get to know that it's fresh product. The employee is an employee of Bento, it's not an employee of Chartwells. So unlike Tim Hortons, unlike Common Ground, where the Starbucks is, unlike Subway, those are all employees of Chartwells. This one employee is not an employee of
So John, am I
Bento.
correct that the only difference is instead of them making the sushi off campus, we've asked them to come in on and make it on campus?
So everyone
that
knows
it'd be
it's fresh
fresher?
and we're selling lots more because they know it's
So
fresh.
that's the only change we've
It's the
made?
only difference.
Does that help, Andrew? Okay. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I knew that, but I'm not as up-to-date as you were. And the comment, Andrew, about why I don't think is anything new for me talking about layoffs. I think everyone is aware that universities have laid off. U of S laid off 200 people north of us. I'm doing it, I hope, to reassure that that's not the way I want to operate, and that's not my intent, and it's never been. And I've said that in every town hall that I've done. Not that there'll never be layoffs, but that I will do everything that I can to prevent layoffs. I will look at every other concession possible. And I've done that to reassure because people have asked me about it and continue to do so. So I'm hoping it's not interpreted in with any other motive than that, because that's intent is the one that's hopefully that people are aware of and are reassured.
Foreign Plans QP member. Just a little bit curious, because I'm a little bit surprised from what I've heard here. Are you saying that you, the leadership, were aware that Bento people were actually not unionized and they were going to bring non-unionized workers on campus? That's basically what you
No,
saying?
I think what I am aware of, that we've always bought sushi from Bento to sell on campus, and
This kind of sounds to me like a really lame excuse, because it breaks our contract and sets up a precedent. And we're talking about respect and respecting the workers, and those are workers that have very low wages. They're at risk. They cannot complain. They don't have any rights. We're talking about gathering food to give to needy people. Why don't pay them wages that they can live with?
So I want to be careful. We haven't changed any practice except that we keep buying sushi. We just haven't, make it on campus.
But you've set up a precedent which can be used in the future.
Which is in part of our contract, right, with Chartwell's.
But you mean you're telling me that you couldn't, tell Chartwell's that maybe this is not a good practice and maybe they should unionize the workers? Isn't that our agreement when they signed the contract to run food services here?
I don't know if it's in that agreement. John would know.
I think the point everybody's missing is that they are not a Chartwell's employee.
Right, but this is a runaround.
You can't unionize some other company's employee.
Right, and I can hear you, but this is a runaround around the issue. It's like you guys were aware that those guys were not unionized and still you let them in. Didn't you guys have to approve for them to bring them on campus? Didn't someone have to sign and say, hey, you guys can bring these people in?
We have food workers all across campus that aren't unionized.
I know.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware. I eat that food.
Because we've had faculty members send us emails saying that they were going to boycott the catering of Chartwell's and give it to the club and give it elsewhere, both of which they suggested aren't unionized employees.
The big difference, as I said, is we're making sushi on campus. I will ask some more questions on this one.
No.
It's not an issue that I have been personally involved in. I will follow up with your
Right.
concern.
I mean, our concern is that, as I said, those are workers who earn very small wages, and we take away even the very few rights they have as unionized workers. That's something you might want to consider. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Other questions or comments? Is this helpful for you? Is it helpful to get the broad overview? Do you feel you can ask questions? That's the other worry that I have, that people may feel they can't come forward with concerns and questions, and I want to really assure you can. And like I said, if you don't comfortable doing it in a public forum, please do it with me privately, because I do want to hear. I will be clear, and this is what I said when John and a couple of his colleagues came to see me. Coming to see me with a concern, I may not be able to change the path we're on, or may not even be wanting to, but I do want to hear your concerns, because someone said to me, well, I came to see you, told you my concerns, and you didn't change your mind. Sometimes I'm not going to change my mind, but I still want to hear the concerns. I can't know what issues you're dealing with and what things you worry about if you don't talk to me about it. But by bringing me concerns, as you know, with your colleagues, you will hear a colleague bring a concern that you can't change, or that you have a disagreement with. You actually disagree with what they've said, but we can disagree respectfully always, and we can always work towards the bigger common good, which is an institution that we all can be proud of, and in particular proud of the quality of the institution for the students we serve. So keep working with me on that. That's my goal, is that we only get better for our students, and I hope that's your goal also. And thank you so much for taking time on this beautiful fall day to come and listen to a talking head, hopefully who did not bore you too much. Thank you so much. Thank you.